This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as an option for the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, September 5th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 791 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Jay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story today is the big news that broke yesterday that Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer announced that she was making illegal the sale of flavored e-cigarettes, saying it was in response to studies showing an uptick in their use by teens. In a statement, the governor said, quote, companies selling vaping products are using candy flavors to hook children on nicotine and misleading claims to promote the belief that these products are safe. That ends today. Unquote. Of course, prohibition doesn't usually work, so if this ban survives the court challenges it will see from companies selling e-cigarettes, it will likely only help to set up an illicit market devoid of regulation or control. The governor's office has said that final rules and regulations for the ban are being worked on and will be announced soon, with the actual ban to take effect 1 month after that. This is an interesting new storyline for sure. Today's second story unfortunately travels along the same direction as our first, as the New York Times just published a piece about a second person dying after suffering severe injuries to the lungs caused by vaping. The details on this one are still a bit lacking, but a doctor in Oregon said that a patient of hers died last month from injuries caused by a vaporizer, the second death that's being attributed to vaping. This one's all the more disturbing because the person is said to have used a vaporizer purchased from a legal cannabis dealer. Investigators with the Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are looking into the first reported vape-related death of a man in Illinois and are aware of this recent case in Oregon. Read this story. Rounding out today's top news is a good piece by Amy German over at Leafly, looking at the steps that provincial authorities are taking in Quebec, Canada, to make sure that cannabis-infused drinks, set to become legal nationwide starting next month, don't taste so good that consumers overindulge. Canada legalized adult-use cannabis last year, but set a 1-year moratorium on including drinks and edibles. Quebec's 18 public health directors recently released recommendations that the province require cannabis drinks manufacturers to not mask away the taste of marijuana with sweetening agents and flavors, and to not confuse consumers by offering up too many product options. The province said that it will take the next 40 days to study the recommendations. This one's important even if you do business just down here in the States, as there will be a lot of eyes looking north when it comes time to craft our own regulations on drinks and edibles, so this is probably a good story to have a handle on. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, ease.com, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery, as well as the same for folks living in the Portland, Oregon area. Zip over to ease.com today and check out their special Ease Picks section, where the good folks over at Ease make recommendations for new products for you to check out. Today, there's lots of tasty options from Caliva, Jetty, Dom Pen, Herbology, Pacific Stone, Bright Labs, Kiva Confections, Elite California, and Fuego. All properly tested, packaged, and labeled, and all available less than an hour after hitting submit in the parts of California and Portland, Oregon, where Ease is active. Assuming, of course, that you're placing your order during active delivery hours. Open up ease.com today, with Ease spelled E-A-Z-E, to see for yourself just how easy it is to get legal cannabis with ease. Big thanks to everyone at Ease for supporting today's news. All right, time for the Blitz. Colorado-based marijuana company Medicine Man Technologies is back in the headlines for a second day in a row with news of another acquisition. Yesterday, I reported that Medicine Man was buying up dispensary chain Starbuds. Today, it's dispensary chain Colorado Harvest, which operates 3 stores in the Denver metro area. The cash and stock deal is worth $12.5 million in all. New Cannabis Ventures has more details there if you need them. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. The state of Missouri is in the midst of rolling out a limited medical marijuana program and just announced some numbers for an ongoing application process. So far, the state has received more than 2,100 applications for the less than 250 dispensary, cultivation, processing, and testing licenses to be handed out. Under Missouri state law, state officials have 150 days after an application submission to process it for either denial or approval, so we'll know more within the next 5 months or so how those fall. Canadian marijuana provider Aurora just sold off its remaining stake in fellow cannabis company, the Green Organic Dutchman, or TGOD, netting just over $86 million Canadian in cash, or just under $65 million US, which the company says was a 50% increase over the price that it bought in at. Two new informal polls conducted side by side during the recent Minnesota State Fair show that generally, Minnesotans are in favor of legalizing adult use marijuana. The two polls were conducted by the State House and Senate and had slightly different wording, but both came to the same results in that a majority of respondents think adult use cannabis should be legal, with the House poll landing at 56% in favor versus 34% opposed, while the Senate had 55% in favor and 36% opposed. Cannabis is still illegal in Minnesota, but the state's Democratic leadership would like to see that change and stand against conservative lawmakers opposed to any kind of progressive policy reform, as is their nature. USA Today takes a good deep dive into a storyline that's been popping up lately in the headlines about the unjust nature of a legal cannabis industry that makes white people rich on the backs of black people sitting in jail for past marijuana crimes. As cannabis transitions from the illicit market to the legal, there remains far too many people sitting in jail who do not deserve to be, all because they are non-white and were caught up in the criminal justice system due to marijuana crimes. USA Today's story looks at the case of Pharrell Scott serving a lifetime sentence for a 2008 marijuana arrest after he refused to inform on other people, turning down an 8-year sentence in return. I can't even imagine what it feels like for someone like Mr. Scott to watch news of the changing legal cannabis landscape while sitting in prison for cannabis. Don't ignore this story or this storyline. In a bit of cheerier societal news for cannabis, we have a story from up in Canada about a country fall fair set to start tomorrow in British Columbia, where cannabis will be put up for the first time as a judged agricultural crop, sitting alongside on display in the same place as pumpkins and squashes and other fruit crops grown for contest. Winners will take home $5, while second place cultivators get $3 and third place finishers will get a ribbon. I had reported earlier on another fall fair that will incorporate cannabis in a similar fashion, but that one doesn't start until Saturday, while the one in Duncan, British Columbia starts tomorrow, making it technically the first in the nation. Our final story today are numbers just released by the Nevada Department of Taxation for how its legal cannabis industry has done over the last fiscal year, pulling in $639 million in sales overall, netting the state just under $100 million in taxes and fees. Viva Las Vegas. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Jay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.